I saw that Walmart has a lot of items like for lighting and things, so
Nice.
yeah. So last time, we didn't say goodbye in a very nice manner because Mr. Blaze, Captain Blaze here, said a very nasty word, a word that I don't like, the C word.
That was the last time.
And we're not talking Canadian here. We're talking the bad C word. So that's not gonna happen again, is it?
No.
No, it won't, because the main thing is I poured my scotch on him, and it's yeah, what a waste of my scotch.
It was. It's alcohol abuse.
Yes. So what? The weather?
It's been cold.
It's been cold, and it's not that we've not wanted to do a pod. It's just that it's been a hectic week at the beginning there, right?
Mm-hmm.
We went to detox a couple days, right?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that, what happened. Did we?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so why don't you tell them? We went.
Oh, no, yeah, we did.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that we didn't get in, right?
Yeah.
Did we talk about the second day we didn't get in?
No.
Yeah. Well, we went a second day, and you can tell them what happened.
There just wasn't room.
Well, there was more than that.
No, we talked about that one.
Oh, we did talk about that
Yeah,
one?
we were gonna
That
go.
you had a drink?
Yeah, we were gonna go to the hospital, but the wait was 5.5 hours, so we didn't go to the hospital.
Yeah, we're gonna do the hospital route and then just go into another area of Alberta Edmonton Hospital, which again is the best in Canada. Best nurses, doctors, and such. But we didn't bother.
No.
We figured, well, we'll just wait for Henwood.
It's coming anyway.
It is, but it's a tough time of year as far as depressions and mental wellness issues and high suicide rates. So right now the wait for Henwood is 8 weeks, but I think we got you in before.
Yeah, when I applied, they said 3 to 4, so.
Yeah. So we're waiting patiently.
Yep. Should be soon.
It should be soon, and you're positive. We're positive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned about your drinking.
Yeah.
Right now.
Just get my kicks in.
Well, you're getting your kicks in. But you know what? You did really well Friday night when we went to Chilliwack concert. We went to Chilliwack at Century Casino in Edmonton. Pretty awesome place, right?
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did really good.
Yeah. Because what were we saying? Bill Henderson, the main singer of Chilliwack, is 78 years old?
Yep.
Yeah.
Still got it.
And you like the venue?
Yeah, it was cool. It's a cool little spot.
It's different.
Yeah. It's pretty open.
Smaller, intimate.
Yeah.
And the tickets were what? They were
77.
Yeah, they were running at over $70, and so I've chatted with a lady there about fundraising for the Alberta Edmonton Hospital, and now we've got a number of other things we want to fundraise for, and so she was so kind and she let us in for free. And it was just a standing room only, and I said, standing room's fine. I think she would have even given us seats.
She did offer seats, but
Yeah, and I said, no, don't need them. Just let us stand
who
because
wants to go to a concert and sit?
we'll be dancing the whole time, right? Yeah, so that was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good night. And the drivers weren't too bad
No, it was pretty clear.
coming home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were right behind the plow, so.
Yeah, we were. And of course it was Black Friday, and I go into West Edmonton Mall. I go to about four stores. I go in and out, and not good drivers. No, not good drivers. You've got these young gals who are driving their little SUVs and pedal to the metal. And then we've got the Fort McMurray fellas in their big fancy half tons and all coked up coming back from Fort Mac. So they're driving like really scary. So on Yellowhead. Was it a blizzard Friday night? I forget.
No, it wasn't snowing.
It was the week before. It was the blizzard.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
No, it was pretty tame weather-wise.
Yeah. So talk about how you've been feeling lately and about everything and.
Drunk. Drunk. That's about it.
Yeah, drunk.
Just sitting and waiting.
How early do you start drinking?
It depends. Sometimes right when I wake up. Sometimes I wait a bit.
Which is usually, what, about 12 noon or so? Because he's a night hawk.
Yeah, I go to sleep at like 3 or 4.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then he takes Babe, puppy over there, for a walk.
Yep. Usually, well, it varies. At night.
And what's the weather now? It's minus 19, but with the wind chilled, what do you think? Is it probably minus 22, 23?
Probably.
It's been snowing. But it warms up this week.
Yeah. +3 on Tuesday.
Yeah, which is cycling weather, but not on ice. I don't cycle on ice anymore.
On the ice the next day.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to drop back down.
Too dangerous. Yeah. So yeah, I was, it was on my things to do list to write Shannon, my dear friends back in Strathclair, Manitoba. Shannon Delkey's wife was having a surprise 65th for him. So I was to send him a letter and a card, but I didn't get to it. But I texted them, and so they had a pretty good party Saturday night. So that's cool. And it's nice when you can recognize people. When you don't recognize them, you know that's kind of a sad thing when you age. But let's talk about this Kill Tony. Last night, you put on, you gotta watch, gotta watch this. It's Kill Tony.
I wanted to show you Shane Gillis's Trump impersonation because I know you hate Trump.
Well, I can't even say his name, but
I know, it's pretty funny.
This Kill Tony is apparently a top podcast.
Yeah.
So I said to Blaze, I guess we should look at it and see, what's the trend here. So it started out okay, Kill Tony, with Mr. T and the Biden impressions. Yeah. And then tell them more if they don't know what Kill Tony is.
It's pretty much stand-up comedy and then turns into like an interview. So it's like a stand-up or like an open mic podcast, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. It's pretty funny. I like it. She doesn't like it.
No. Because, it was okay. Biden came out. He did a pretty good impression. I wasn't really, what do I want to say? I'm going to try to be nice here. I wasn't crazy over Kill Tony's voice because, I have Meniere's disease, inner ear disorder, and sensitive to lights and sounds, and I just found his voice somewhat whiny. I didn't find it overly help me here. Pleasing, yeah. So I got tired of his voice, but what I really got tired with, and you fell asleep. So
I've seen that episode before.
So here I am watching Kill Tony, and these wannabe comedians have a minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so some of them are coming up and they're reading and whatnot. And that one fella, you hadn't fallen asleep. All he talked about was his penis, right? And nobody laughed. No one laughed.
Sometimes they bomb completely.
Yeah. But then you showed me that, and then you were out of it, and then I continued to watch it, and I got more disgusted the more it went on. Because it's F this and F that, and they're using the C word, and they're using the R word, which I haven't heard since the 70s. The R word. Remember, you used it once.
Several times.
Yes, and I don't like the R word. So
It's just a word.
Well, it's a condescending word, and for those people who have children who are intellectually disabled, I suspect they don't appreciate that word being used. I'm surprised it's even in the dictionary.
I don't use it to describe that. I use it to describe people that act stupidly.
Well, why don't you just use the word stupid?
Because it doesn't hit as well. And sometimes I do. Sometimes depends on the moment.
Well, I just find it totally unacceptable in the 21st century. I remember my brother in the 70s used to use that word, so when I hear it, I think, who's getting off on this language? And as I said to you, I found the show actually as it went
Well,
on.
I grew up with it. We never called a mentally handicapped person a retard. We called each other retards because we're being retards. Like, it's nothing to do with our mental still capacity or somebody's disability. It's just you're acting like a retard, and it's nothing to do with anything with any sort of disorder. It's just like calling somebody an idiot. It's the same thing. For us, it was the same thing. We never called a handicapped person an idiot, a retard. Like,
So
just
what
wouldn't
did you
do
call
that.
them?
Nothing. Just say hi. Just treat them like a human fucking being. Like, I don't need to put a label on everybody. I just call my friends retards because they're being retards.
As you, well, I don't want.
It didn't have. We didn't grow up with the meaning that you guys grew up with it. You guys.
See, there wasn't
that was
another
the
word
word. That was
except-
the word for mentally handicapped people, and we never used it for mentally handicapped people. We just called each other retards because it's a funny word, like a tart.
Well, I don't find it funny, and maybe I'm just overly sensitive because it was used in the 70s, and we had a intellectually handicapped fella in the town. He was just a sweet pea, and and then we had Joey with the Oilers team forever, and I just think to be politically correct in the 21st century, intellectually handicapped is not that you're going to use that with your friends.
No, we just called them.
But I mean,
we just
you're
called them.
how
We just
old
called them
now?
handicapped. We didn't even consider retard as a phrase for mentally handicapped people. We just said they're handicapped. Like, there was no correlation with it at all when we were kids. It was like your friend's being a retard and a mentally disabled person that's a handicapped person. We never had the distinction of calling a retard or a handicapped person a retard.
So what I'm hearing is it's not a put down.
No.
When you used it.
Well,
Back in the 70s, it was a put down.
It was a put down, but not a put down towards handicapped people. It was a put down towards your friend because they were acting like a retard. But we called handicapped people handicapped. We never called them retards. It was never even a consideration to call a handicapped person a retard. We grew up taught they're handicapped. And that was it. Retard was just a completely different word with a completely different meaning to us. Just meant you're acting like an idiot. But you guys used to call mentally handicapped people mentally retarded. And that's why you guys
They
have
did,
so much
back in the
value.
70s.
That's why you have so much value on this retard word, where we didn't have that value on the word retard. Our value for the word retard was your friends acting like an idiot. That's all it meant to us.
Yeah, okay.
That's the thing with words. They only have the meaning you put behind them. And that's why people shouldn't really get in a fuss about words, because they can mean one thing to you and a completely different thing to somebody else.
But they can be hurtful to people.
Totally.
And
but you know
sarcasm is the worst.
So just don't listen to that person. Don't hang out with that person. If they use words you don't like, just evacuate yourself from the situation. You don't have to listen to everybody. You don't have to just sit there and listen to somebody talk. You can just walk away.
But don't you think the language is becoming so desensitized, and these different shows? And,
They're just vibrations coming out of your mouth.
yeah, well, I don't watch any of them. What was it, The Simpsons, or which one came out first?
The Simpsons was the first.
And people were talking about it, so I watched it one day, and I thought, oh, okay. Well, it's kind of a...
I grew up on Family Guy, so it was like...
Well, it's just as bad, right?
It's worse. It's worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's like, I don't know.
So and that's funny.
I grew up.
I didn't find it funny.
I grew up with a comedic, like, words don't mean what they mean. It's just something to make you laugh, and that's everybody needs to just chill the fuck out and see things like a joke, because most of comedy is just trying to shock somebody into laughing, and I need that. I find most comedy very fucking dry. You have to like shock the fuck out of me, and I don't mean like just saying a bunch of bad words. That doesn't work. It has to be clever. It has to be like twisted, and then that makes me laugh, because I got a sick sense of humor. Like when I watch a gory movie and someone gets like their head smashed in, like that doesn't make me go, oh, it makes me laugh, and that's just who I am. I can't.
Meanwhile, I'm like this.
I just find the more gruesome the person dies, the harder I laugh. Like it's just, I guess I'm an old soul. Been through enough.
Well, and I'm a teacher, right? So words do mean something to me, and I have to set
That's fair.
an example.
That's fair.
And
Everybody's
that's
different.
important.
Everybody's different.
Because I noticed that I was saying the F word
Yeah.
quite a few times
There
with
you
you,
go.
and I thought,
Potty
oh, I
mouth.
gotta pull that back there, especially if I'm back in the classroom again. So yeah, we can agree to disagree. Different generations.
Exactly.
And,
Everybody grew up different. We're all products of our environment, products of our generation.
But I will say something about sarcasm, and I remember my hairstylist said this many years ago. We were talking about sarcasm. And we all have friends, especially in the early days, 20s and 30s, and there's the person that's so sarcastic, and everybody laughs and laughs. But if you really think about sarcasm, it's hurtful to people. It can be very hurtful to people. And I guess
Unhealed people.
Perhaps. But just, I don't know. I think people should think before they speak. Not that I do, right? But
I imagine a world where we're all healed from all of our traumas and our generational traumas, and we can just say whatever, and it doesn't even matter because it's just funny, because that's spirit. That is what spirit is. God has a sick fucking sense of humor, and if you don't think God doesn't have a sick sense of humor, look at your life. Look at history. God has a very twisted sense of humor, and it's because we're infinite beings just doing a puppet show, and it's funny.
But that, I mean...
It's a divine comedy. A dark divine comedy.
There's a difference in the generations here, obviously. And...
in case you didn't know.
So we can agree to disagree.
Of course.
Right?
That's the beauty of
we can agree
being human.
To disagree. But am I going to watch Kill Tony again?
Probably not.
Nope.
Because, like, imagine this. Imagine you had a society that just lived in this white box, and that's all they did. Kind of like Plato's Cave. You would only have a handful of personalities, because there are different personalities that we're genetically made to have. But if you just kept having generation after generation after generation inside of this white box, you would only still have this handful of personalities just rotating through generations. We have all this to create different personalities, different perspectives, different points of view, different human beings, so that we can enjoy diversity.
Well, kind of like that fella when we were on the rocks. Did we talk about this before? And you were asked to take your headband off.
Yeah.
You were asked to put your sweater on. You were
Yeah.
not allowed to leave your sweater on the chair.
I wasn't allowed to not have sleeves.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
But I
'Cause
thought
they-
you told me they didn't want your sweater on the chair.
No.
Oh, it was
they didn't
about
say,
the sleeves.
no, it's just the sleeves.
Okay.
It said we have a dress code. I'm like, well, that girl doesn't have sleeves, so what the fuck?
Well, and
women can have no sleeves, but men can't. Like,
And then remember when we left, I questioned that one bouncer. Well, he just...
I should have said
You
that I
just
identify
ripped.
as a woman, and that would have just thrown it all. But I didn't think of it till after we left. I just laughed at the whole situation because it was fucking funny.
Well, and I wasn't laughing because...
No,
they
you were
dis-
laughing.
they discriminated against my friend. This is not the 70s. And so I had questioned the one bouncer, but he wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer. And he just came at me, and I said, well, it's discrimination. Well, it's a policy, rah, rah, rah. And I said, well, I taught project management for a long time, and I encourage the students to question policy, because without questioning policy or rules, how do we progress? How do we make changes if we don't question? But the other fella that came along, because remember that fella touched me, and I said, you don't touch me. And having worked with Edmonton Victim Services, you don't be touching a woman unless there's a reason, right?
Mhm.
I wasn't drunk. I was just questioning the policy. But the other fellow that came along, and he was the one that initially chatted with you,
Yeah.
and I had a better discussion with him.
Yeah.
So he's a little more calmer. I think he must have been the top bouncer, because they do have good bouncers there. I've
Yeah.
always had a good experience. Yes. Yeah. So, okay. What else? Did you want to talk about your sister, where she is and why and whatnot?
No, I don't even know where she is.
Okay.
I don't keep tabs with my family.
Okay. She's in Ottawa, and
I don't think she might not be.
She could be home now. Yeah. Okay. They have a little baby, Harrison, and they went to Ottawa, and her husband's sister was not well, so we're hoping and praying that she's okay, because she's only 42, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what else to talk about? A little bit politics. Trudeau's wanting to give $250 to everyone, and people are up in arms.
I don't trust free money from the government. I never took any during COVID, and I don't know why he's giving away money again. It didn't have much of a positive. I don't know. I didn't really actually pay any attention.
Well, he's been criticized, and as anything.
Pretty sure he was criticized last time, but I'm not 100% on that.
Because, well, he forgot about the immigrants, he forgot about the disabled, he forgot about the students. But with any new policy or change within any company, you kind of got to put it out there and feel it out and see what works and what doesn't work. So personally, I don't know what the big deal is. I think you can only get the $250 if you make over $150,000. Don't quote me on that. Then you get $250. They just put it in your account. So, not too sure what's happening with that.
I don't know. Right on if you get it. Sucks if you don't. Honestly, I think we could be spending our money on more important things, but who am I?
Well, I guess with the inflation and the shrinkflation, which is a problem, right? What was the latest thing we saw with shrinkflation?
Everything.
The chips, there was something else. It was just really bad.
Chip bags have always been ludicrous, but they're getting even worse.
There was one really bad one I showed you. I don't remember. Anyways. Well, you made carrot soup yesterday. It was really yummy.
It was delicious.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to tell them how you made best carrot soup I've ever had. I've had some flatulence today, but that's from the carrots, right?
It's good for your eyes too. Good for the digestive system.
Apparently it's good for the eyes.
Good for the immune system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to tell them? Because
Dozen carrots.
I'm thinking we need to start a Blaze recipe because he's an excellent cook. He really is. Yeah. And the trouble is he knows it too. But anyways, yeah, we're thinking about doing
the taste talks for itself. I don't need to say nothing.
Yeah, it was awesome, and homemade garlic bread, very nice. So thank you for that.
Oh, it was delicious.
That was really nice.
You're welcome.
So
Thank you for purchasing it.
yeah, you're welcome. You'll be paying me back one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Richest man in the world.
and I know you will. I don't worry about that. So I guess the one thing that I'm pretty stoked about, pretty happy, is that apparently this ties in with my PhD on mental wellness in the workplace, is that Australia passed a landmark social media policy in that children under the age of 16 years are not allowed to use social media. So I think that's pretty progressive, ties in with my research in that when we have 12-year-olds committing suicide because they don't quite look like certain people across the border, and dad's lost his job, and 12 years old committing suicide, we got a problem. So thumbs up for Australia.
Yeah, it's a great idea, honestly. It's the cause of a lot of children, or like young adults, suicides, depression, trauma, because bullies are in your face all the time. You don't have to face them. There's no confrontation there. So it happens way too frequently and way too easily, and you could literally ruin somebody's life in a second. But at the same time, it's taken away free speech and human rights. So it's good and bad. I just think we should just eliminate social media altogether and I don't know, go back to fucking Nexopia and MSN and shit. Because life was simpler then.
Well, you have a point there, because
then you can still chat with each other, and it's just your friends. You're not open up to the entire fucking world. I don't know. It's too much. We're not ready for it. Like one day, sure, but you know what? Like I said, the world's not fucking healed. We can't even say certain fucking words to each other, and before people start fucking having parades and protests and stuff, like we're just not there yet.
I remember when my oldest was in grade 9, and they were allowing the students to take their phones in the class. So I remember chatting, teacher interviews, and asking her, well, what's going on and whatnot. And at one point she said to me, well, he's on his phone. It wasn't a problem for her. Apparently he wasn't getting his work done because he was on the phone. So I said to her, well, how be you take that phone away from him? And she didn't know what to say. And so later on, it wasn't to get her into trouble or anything, but I remember discussing it with the principal, and I said, why do they even have phones in the classroom? Because at NATE in the early years, I remember saying in a meeting with all the top dogs, so to speak, and I said, take the phones away. They come in the class, throw them in a bucket. Unless unless dad's in for heart surgery or your wife's having a baby or whatever, right? But I remember that distinctly because you could have heard a pin drop and they're all looking at me. And now I think it's in Ontario. Don't quote me, but a number of the schools are taking phones away. They're not allowed to have phones.
Well, that makes sense. You shouldn't have a phone in school. Like, you're there for a reason. But at the same time,
Did you? Were you able to have your phone?
I didn't have a cell. Like, people did, but I didn't have a cell phone until like I finally broke down and got a cell phone in like 2012 or something. I didn't want one. I didn't give a shit.
Good for you.
And then I got a BlackBerry, so I just used it for like phone calls and shit and text messaging. And then I finally broke down and got an iPhone. And then I still stayed away from social media for years. And then me and my fiance split up, and then I started going on social media to meet women because I didn't know what the fuck to do anymore. Because 8 years without dating, out of high school, you just don't know what the fuck you're gonna do. I didn't like the bar, so.
There's a whole discussion though, because a number of the ladies I worked with at NAID, they met their partners like online. How many years ago? So in some ways, I know how many people that have met their partners online.
Yeah, totally.
So that's good. But if they're just swiping, like, don't they swipe just to get laid? Which one's that?
Tinder.
Is that Tinder?
Yeah, people use it for dating though, and it's fucking stupid. Like, go to eHarmony. Like, pay the money because Tinder's free, so people go on there.
Oh, okay.
Tinder's free, so you have to pay for eHarmony. Well, you don't have to, but there's a lot of it's stupid.
And one of my friends was on Plenty of Fish.
Tinder
it was free.
Yeah.
So then she went on
A lot of weird
Match
people on Plenty of Fish. So.
Is there a Match dot something?
I think so.
Match dot,
I
yeah.
think so.
So then she paid money to go on that one, and she found that she got better quality, I guess.
But Tinder was meant to be just a hookup app.
Okay.
And people started using it for like, I want to find someone to marry, and it's like, you're on the wrong fucking place for this.
I don't think you could go into it thinking you're going to find your.
Oh.
Because it takes quite a few.
Women do.
Yeah, but you don't think men.
I don't know. I wasn't searching for men. I have no opinion.
I mean, if you were searching for a man, that's fine.
I'd go on Grindr if I was searching for a man.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it's called, Grindr?
Yeah, that's the.
Oh, okay. Like, okay.
Which I did do once.
Oh, okay. Well, quite a few of my girlfriends go online, you know. They've got some interesting stories. And I've often said we need to write a book on some of their stories because they're pretty funny, a few of them. Yeah. So, okay. Well, I'm getting tired. It's been a, when it gets cold and the roads and the drivers have been horrible, and it just, and you know how I love to drive my vehicle, but when, was it yesterday, I just about got hit by that young girl, and yeah, just about hit a pole, so had to
Yeah, it's not
drive.
worth going out if you don't have to.
Well, then afterwards we realized I should have let her hit my Jeep, because then she would have been charged. So, but I did report her to the police because she didn't have a clue what she was doing, and yeah, so it's not fun driving on ice when you're surrounded with people that should not be driving to begin with, and yeah, it's not a fun time.
Yeah, no doubt.
You've been driving the Jeep a few times on the ice, right?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
I enjoy, when I was living on Vancouver Island, I enjoyed driving in the snow though. I had a big truck though, and
Yeah, you did have a big truck.
yeah.
I'm really surprised by that.
What?
How did you end up having a big truck on the island? For what?
To haul snowmobile and ATV. And
Oh, okay. I didn't know
my
you
buddy,
had a snow.
I didn't. My buddy had all these toys, but he didn't have a truck, so I bought a truck, and he had all the toys.
So you got to use
And I used it
toys?
to move myself several times, and my friends too. Truck's just more useful. you can use it for more
They
than
are.
you can just use it for more than one thing. Like, it's not just transportation. I used it to move like 3 or 4 times. Used it to haul garbage, haul yard waste, haul toys. Like, I don't know. That's why I got a truck. And I never wanted to be stuck. Like, I see people stuck on the side of the road, and it's like, well, yeah, you should have bought something else.
Well, and we went to see Trent at the unsheltered camp there, and a couple years ago, because we've not discussed this, have we? When we took the cupcakes there, the infamous cupcakes, and 2 years ago I had been out there with Betty, a heroin addict I had sponsored, and there were 3 camps. And so we took the cupcakes out the other day, and how many camps are there now?
I don't remember.
13? Yeah, up to 13. So it's like a whole community out there. And Trent, who used to be a firefighter, he wants to clean it up and whatnot. So he said he needed a truck. So I said, well, we'll get you a truck. And then I thought, well, we'll just get a trailer and pull it with my Jeep. But then Lori, I think her son's going to bring his truck, so that'll be good. But we're going to go out, and you might be gone by then.
We'll see.
Yeah, but I'll go out and help load up and whatnot. So, but he's warm there. Remember, he had his little.
Oh yeah, he's got a little stove, and
He's just set up there, and it's
got a generator too. Worst case scenario.
yeah, for winter camping, and that's where he is. And a lot of people left, right? They've moved closer to Spruce Grove for warmth, but we couldn't find the other camp, could we? Have to figure out where that one is. So yeah, so I think that's it for today. What do you think? Do you have any? We talked to the postal workers the other day. And they're supposed to send me some specific information on what exactly they're striking. They're not so concerned about salaries. It's the benefits and that they're looking at.
Yeah, well, not bad. The working conditions they were worried about.
Right, working conditions.
And policies that they don't agree with, and I don't want to get into it because they haven't sent us the information.
Yeah, I asked them to send
But
me
it's
an email.
mostly the conditions and the policies that they're worried about, not their wages, not the benefits. Because I'm sure they have fantastic benefits being public service, but they're mostly worried about work conditions.
Yes, because the one lady was starting to tell us.
Oh,
about
and
different stories.
and they want to push it. They're trying to the I don't know, whoever's running the place wants to compete with Amazon, and they're trying to push out shit as fast as Amazon does, and it's like, well, you gotta revamp your entire situation, though. You can't just load up your current structure. It's like putting more weight on a foundation that can only support the weight that it's carrying. You just can't do it. You gotta revamp, reconfigure, and come up with a better solution, because you can't just load more work on the same people. Costco tried to do that in the tire shop. They wanted more done and faster, and it's like, well, what are you gonna change? Like, we're already doing it as fast as we can. Like, what do you can't just say this is what you want and that, you know, and expect that result. So we just fudged numbers and made it so it worked for us.
And the federal government, people will really get their backs up because they're paying taxes. So
it's like everything. Every business, everybody wants more for less, and it's like, that's just not how it works. I know it makes sense on your stupid fucking calculator or your computer when you're crunching the numbers, but we're still human beings. We're not robots yet. You need to fucking consider the human condition. Like, we've already pushed we've pushed the world and society and the whatever, doesn't matter, business to its full extent, and you know, they're continuing to try and push things further, and it's like, you can't expect profit every year. There cannot be exponential growth every year. That's not how the fucking world works. We don't live on an infinite planet. It's finite. We need to make better use of our resources and better treatment of our people, because the way things are going, we are nosediving into destruction, and it's fucking sad to watch. But like, what do you do? Because businesses run everything,
Well,
and they pay for the media, so everybody's brainwashed about, but yes, we do need more. Yes, we do need to do it faster. Yes, those people are wrong because they want basic human rights. Like, it's fucking stupid. But
I'm interested to see what they forward to us, because I asked for specifics. Just tell me your stories, give the specifics, and we're happy to share, but it's good to hear from them directly.
yeah.
And then from there we went to the youth center in Stony Plain. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was
That
pretty good
was
setup.
kind of a neat place for children who have a safe place to go after school. So it wasn't an
Shelter,
overnight
yeah,
shelter,
not a shelter.
like
Just-
we have in Edmonton. But perhaps that's something that they should be looking at down the road, because
Well, it's tough. You're talking orphanage, because what do you do? They can't get jobs. They can't be put out into society. You're talking orphanage.
well, or foster homes, if they're not in safe,
Yeah, exactly.
if they're not in a safe situation, they've got to be pulled, and then they go to foster homes. But then we talked about that, because I have a big issue with children that have been in foster homes forever, and then what do they do when they're 18? Oh, we put them in a motel room. Well, just what, a year or two ago, a young fella was put in a motel room in BC, and he jumped out the window. They need a transition period where they're taught how to live on their own, that they're taught
that's
about
the-
finances, they're taught about bills and
Yeah,
rent
it's
and
tough though,
being on
because
their own.
even if you do teach them all that, society is growing into, like, that's why there's a homeless crisis. Like, it's becoming too expensive to live. It doesn't matter. So there's no fucking hope. Like, even if you do learn it all, you're screwed. We need to revamp all of society. Like, it's not specific people. We need to revamp our entire layout. It's all wrong. It's all toxic. It's all based on greed, and we're gonna fucking die. Like, it's super depressing.
Just listening to you, I'm thinking for these children, they're 19, but they're still.
That's the thing though.
Still
Like,
change.
kids can see the problem, and it's not like growing up back in your day. They're growing up with the knowledge that
We have
they're gonna.
foster homes.
No, I know, but like, you had hopes and dreams, and there was availability to you. Kids are growing up, and they're realizing they're not even going to be able to buy a house in their entire fucking life. Like, that is known, and that's now. They're not even adults yet. They're not even ready to think about purchasing a house, and they already know it's not going to be possible. Like, imagine growing up with that mentality. Like, you have no hope. You are just a slave to the system, no matter what.
Yeah, but in
Why would
Europe,
you want
they
to?
don't own homes there. In a lot of countries, they don't own homes.
That's not a solution.
It's not. Well, they just don't. They rent.
Yeah, but rent is unaffordable. Rent is
Well, rent is
unaffordable
gonna-
now. Imagine when they are ready to rent.
Yeah, but
There's no hope.
my point is they have to be taught how to live on their own. And just listening to you, I thought maybe halfway homes would work to gently get them out on their own.
Yeah, but at the same
Like they're
time,
cooking, they're working together.
totally. But then,
And-
when they leave, depression hits, because you had that. You go from having this community, you go from having this support system, you go from having this lifestyle like we used to have, like we used to be as human beings, tribes and shit. But now they get kicked out into the world, and all of a sudden they're fucking alone and they're broke. And there's nowhere to go and nothing to do.
Yeah.
And they can't afford to do anything because they have to work constantly just to be able to afford basic essential
Well,
human.
they're not even getting jobs. So my point is from
Because there's
18
no
to
point.
20.
They don't have. There's no point. They know they're going to struggle. They know that there's no point.
Yeah, there's
in
nothing there.
There's
Yeah.
they'll have to team up with a bunch of strangers, and hopefully these people end up being cool, so they could rent a 3-bedroom friggin' apartment and live like sardines. And hopefully these people are cool and not steal your shit and eat your food. And
But that just makes me think about education and student loans and just they need that mentoring from 18 to 20. They just can't be thrown to the wolves because they're dying is what's happening
Yeah.
from the foster homes and even from homes where
I'm not even talking
safe.
foster homes. I'm talking people that come from
Yeah,
perfectly fine families. I'm talking just normal kids.
yeah,
Normal kids, like decent upbringing, decent family,
yeah.
and there is no hope for even them. So like I can't even imagine a foster kid's situation. Like,
Well, I think there is hope for them, but they just need the guidance, right? And, because student loans are available, but if they're not getting the guidance at home, and schools, I think, do their best.
yeah,
We found out at NAED that there were a lot of things that the students weren't being taught. And I think they teach the COM course in Alberta. Don't quote me in grade 9. Well, we have a course, I think they're still offering it, to guide the students as far as finance and different things. And the students would say, gee, we didn't have this in high school. And I'd say, well, yes, you did. But you had it in grade 9, and it doesn't mean a whole lot to you in grade 9.
yeah,
It's,
totally.
it makes sense to you when you're just about there or you're there,
Yeah,
kind
totally.
of thing.
Instead, they shove a bunch of courses that you're never going to actually need in grade 11 and 12, and you're just scrambling and cramming to get it in, and then it's all out the ear once you get out, and now you don't remember anything that you needed to actually know.
Well, remember I was telling you the
Just
story.
forcing useless information into your head so that you don't know how to survive. And then you have to rely on the system, and guess what? The system doesn't support you. The system is designed to keep you down. It's not designed to lift you up. It's designed to maintain a certain level of suffering. And it's sick.
But we were chatting about Ryan's.
But hey, we got $250 to people that are actually working. Cool.
Well, as long as they're not over the, I think it's 150,000. But it just reminds me about Ryan working on his property assessment designation. And remember I told you, his prof or person he's working with, talked to him about using AI, artificial intelligence. And so Neil was telling me about it, and I said, well, as I used to teach, I see it as it's like plagiarism. As long as you cite where you're getting the information from, and I'd always say to the students, all you have to plagiarism, all it is citing. Cite, cite, cite. Cover your assets by citing. And Neil said, yeah, I'll tell him that. So, I mean, the artificial intelligence is the thing now. But often the students would come in to post-secondary and they didn't know what plagiarism was. They said, well, no one taught us plagiarism. Well, I'm sure they were taught plagiarism, but it didn't mean a lot to them. You get to post-secondary, you really want to understand plagiarism, because if you don't, you're out the door. So I used to say to the students, all it is covering your assets, cite everything. You're better to oversight, which is putting your footnotes, endnotes, whatever, and just cover yourself.
Yeah.
That's
They
the best
taught
thing to
us
do.
that in like grade 8. I remember that.
Well, you remember it, but a lot of students don't, and they're taught all through high school. Well, they should be taught. And then we get them in post-secondary, teach them the first year of communications, and they still don't get it. So I get them in second year, and I'd say, this is what you do. And a few of them would say, oh, well, that makes sense. all it is just citing. Just, you didn't come up with the idea, it's somebody else's idea. So just cover yourself. Just cite everything.
Yeah.
That's simply what it is. You understood what it is.
Yeah,
but
they
a
just
lot
don't
of
want
people
they,
don't.
they just want to look it up so that they know that you didn't just copy and paste the information. They want you to read the information and regurgitate it, because that's all information is. All information is just a regurgitation of other people's information. That's how we learn. We regurgitate information. So like, they know that you're not going to. They know that you didn't fucking magically conjure up this information. They know that you read it, you understood it enough to regurgitate it, and that's the whole point. So that you don't just copy and paste it, and it wasn't a waste of everybody's time, even though it kind of is, but whatever.
Oh, I remember when I was in my master's, I don't know, I forgot a period or something in my citing, or one letter, took 5 marks off me. I did that only once. They were just totally anal. And they have to be if you're publishing, right? So,
Yeah,
not that
for
I've
publishing.
published yet, but they're training us to publish.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget that. There's something else I was going to say too, but I forget. I think it's time to go make dinner. I think it's time.
Got pork chops, Brian, and
Yes, pork chops tonight. Yeah. Okay.
I'm Blaze,
I'm Janelle.
and we're Canadian
Canadian
BJ.
BJs with a podcast coming in 2025. Right?
Nailed it.
Right, Captain Blaze?
Yes.
Right on.